Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Unprepared. It's been a few weeks since I've done this, but now we've got it official. We're going to keep doing this for ever. I don't know. Anyways, today we're welcoming to the show Nick from Recart. Nick, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me, Chase. I really appreciate it. Everything's good. Just moved into my new apartment, so back hurts a little bit, but everything's great. Can't complain.
Absolutely.
Really excited to talk to you.
You got it done, so that's all that matters. So today we're gonna dive into the world of Messenger. So Facebook Messenger, I'm assuming, is what we're specifically talking about.
Yep, correct.
Awesome. So, well, first and foremost, I don't use it on. Well, okay, I kind of have a brand. Honestly, Ecommerce is kind of a brand, but I don't use it. So I guess tell me what I'm missing out on not using Facebook Messenger to communicate with people that like the content we put out here, or eventually we're gonna have some products as well.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I just want to thank you for this opportunity. I'm really excited to discuss a little bit more about messenger marketing. So to preface it a little bit, if you just think of the core idea of having a brand, and what's the main thing what you do when you have a brand? You want to get that in front of as many eyeballs as possible. Obviously, a website's good, and that's where you make SEO and you drive traffic there, and then you can do paid for ads and things like that to drive it there. But what's the next thing you do? Usually, people start generating email lists, so then they can start executing on those email lists and sending messages. The issue there is the open rates are a little low because everybody has email, but still the backbone of most marketing. So Messenger is basically another addition to an owned channel, just like email. SMS has been a newer one that's been kind of introduced in the past few years. So that's another owned channel I like to bucket with email, but Messenger is right there. So there's the three main owned channels in the sense that you build up these lists and then you execute on them. If your main goal is to get in front of as many eyeballs as possible, it just makes a ton of sense to adopt as many of these owned channels as possible. There's a fourth one that is owning an app. So if you have an app for your website, for example, you can send push notifications like that. And that's another owned channel. But that's a lot tougher usually to get the opt-in, right? That download. If you think about the opt-ins from email, in SMS, I'm typing it out and I'm pressing enter. The Messenger opt-in is actually just a reply from the consumer. So for SMS and email, they're constantly saying, hey, put in your email and your phone number and we'll give you some kind of code. For Messenger, what we're trying to do is trying to get them to engage by any means necessary. That could be through an ad that you're already running. That could be through a welcome pop-up. We're always trying to get them to somehow interact with our brand through Messenger, and that's how we get that opt-in. But the difference is the open rates are 90%, as opposed to emails open rates are nowhere near that. And I think mostly that's just because of you get those notifications. They're very profound, right there on your iPhone, and everyone looks at their Messenger. It's always there. Except people have only usually used them to message their aunts and uncles and cousins, right? But really, there's a lot of business capabilities around that I think a lot of the e-commerce world is just starting to really envelop. But Messenger had its time, quote unquote, back in the day with the automatic check. But I think we're starting to, the curve is coming back up again. A lot of attention is coming towards Messenger again. It's a pretty interesting platform for sure.
Yeah, it sounds interesting, and I like how you kind of explained that the barrier to entry on getting new leads, let's just call it that.
Sure.
Getting these new leads is not as strict as email with and SMS. You got GDPR, and SMS is insane. The fines if you screw that up. So the people are very strict on those things. Messenger's a little more laxed. With that being said, I would say that these leads might be a little bit less qualified, and it's more for nurturing in that stage. Am I gathering that correctly, or am I inferring that wrong?
Yeah, yes and no. It is easier to get the lead, so yes, you will get some people that are less qualified, and less qualified meaning they won't make the same purchasing decision as opposed to like one of the people that are manually inputting their email or phone number. Yes, I see that point. But just because they may be, a little less qualified, if you think about the volume, the way how easy it is, right? If you have right messenger touch points with your brand, it's a lot easier to get leads. And thus, sure, you can have some less quality guys in there, but the volume kind of will outweigh that slight difference in value for the consumer, if that makes sense.
Hey, it makes sense to me because I'm on the sales side of this, so I just understand. I understand it's a numbers game at the end of the day. Sometimes, depending on kind of the tactic you're taking. So great transition I just made. Speaking of tactics, what would you say is like the number one, or just like recently one that you've been really surprised with? How people are utilizing Messenger within their kind of stack to change the game for them. Like, it's making them more sales or less returns. Like how are they doing this?
Yeah. So the most interesting aspect for me, at least, is the addition to ads. So Facebook ads and Instagram ads is a staple, right? I mean, Gen Z, millennials, they're all on that. And that's how we help out most of our D2C consumer brands these days. And that's how a lot of the traffic's coming from. I mean, businesses are built just from Instagram traffic alone. So Instagram ads are very important. If you think about what an ad does, though, you're going to click that, and then it's just going to open with the Instagram. Decide whether or not you want to proceed. If you do, if you don't, then you'll just exit out, and then that's it. Maybe I'll get retargeted again in the future. With Messenger added onto that ad, it's not like we're changing your marketing strategy to get that click. We don't want to change that. We still want to keep your clicks going. And if you've built this awesome traffic out of it, Messenger can really add on to something that's already successful. What it does is it's called a click to Messenger ad. So when you click that ad, instead of going to the website, you're going to open a Messenger conversation, which is going to prompt you to interact. It says get started or unlock my 10% off code. That's just a thing that shows up at the bottom. So you just have to tap that. But that's a response, which means it's that opt-in. So even if they went through that process, and then we're going to redirect them, right? So even if they went through the process of checking us out and then deciding to leave, they've opted in though in the meantime. Whereas otherwise they're just gone, right? I didn't get any email or SMS or anything from them. They just saw my ad, clicked, and then left. So the value there is at least you're capturing a subscriber in the meantime, which then you can execute on in the future. And since you captured them, you can also send them within a 24-hour period follow-ups. So, we live in this ADD society. Average person gets about 350 notifications a day between all the apps and emails and phone numbers and calls. And I mean, it's crazy. TikTok now, right? So if we could follow up in a relevantly short period of time about a product that maybe that they were truly keen on purchasing, but their mom called them or something, that's really valuable. And these are quote unquote free follow-ups from your ad as soon as they interact. So I thought that was very interesting when I first started to learn about how Messenger could incorporate with some of the powerhouse social media things that we're doing on our brands these days.
That's awesome. So Nick, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and just giving us kind of the 101 introduction to how to use Messenger within a brand. So if people are curious about getting into Messenger, or they got more questions for you about Messenger or about Recart, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So and by the way, thank you again, Chase. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to learn more, please reach out to me at 619-559-4059. That's my number. Or you can email me, nick at recart.com. It's NICK at Recart. But yeah, thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Hey, you are the first person to just give us straight phone numbers on any of the content I've done lately. I think maybe one person did it on the podcast once, but that's really cool and unique.
I'm a big texter, so there you go.
Hey, it gets it done. Nick, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you, Chase. Appreciate it. Take care.
Unprepared is not scripted or edited. When I screw up, it's going live. That might work for this show, but that is no way to run a business. Our partner and sponsor, Rewind, can protect your Shopify store with automated backups and quick and easy recovery. Rewind should be the first app you install on your project to protect your store against human error, misbehaving apps, or collaborators gone bad. It's like having your own magic undo button. Trusted by over 25,000 businesses, from side hustles to the biggest online retailers like Reebok, Gatorade, or Movement Watches. Best of all, you can respond to any of their welcome emails and just mention Unprepared this show and get your first month absolutely free.